Bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-da-da-dum bum bum ba-dum ba-ba-dum rum bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-da-da-dum bum bum ba-dum ba-ba-dum. Hello, my friends. It's so great to see everyone. Good evening in this chilly Monday night as we get together weekly over homeopathy. My name is Joette Calabrese, and I'm here every Monday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Time to do one thing and one thing only, and that is to teach you what I know about homeopathy, how it can be useful to you in your life, and teaching you how to teach others as well. And so for those of you who are new, welcome, friends. And for those of you who've been with me forever and come back time and again, I'd love to see you join in. Hi, friends. Great to have you with me. Thanks for spending your cold Monday night with me. I know that you could be doing so many other things, and you've decided to do this instead. So I appreciate it, and I am thankful for people like you. Because, my friends, there was a time when I would talk about these kinds of things, and no one was listening. But now we have a great number of people who are, and so please like and share and send it off to your friends so we can get this information out there because it is very, very important. So hi, howdy teach, says Neely. All is well. Hi, Harry from Pennsylvania. Hi, Perry. Hi, Mighty, says Harry. I just purchased Gateway 2 and signed for Mighty members. Well, Angela, that's good because we're going to be talking to Mighty members just for a few minutes tonight, not the usual length of time because I've got a very large group of Gatewayers tonight that I'll be answering questions for. So I'll need to move on to them shortly after the time that we meet. So it'll just be for a few minutes. Hello from Florida. Hello, y'all from Tennessee. It's great to see everyone. Hi, folks. Central Illinois, Topeka, Texas. Where's everybody from? Here we go. More Tennessee, Illinois, and more South Florida, Missouri. Hi, everyone. Virginia. Great to see everyone. So tonight we're going to talk about I hate to even say the word. I really don't even want to say it. But I know it's in the news, and I just wrote about it last night in my blog, and you might want to check that out too, just to kind of reinforce. But I go a little bit further here because if you write a blog that's too long, people's eyes glaze over and they don't read the whole thing. So I try to really tighten it up and make it as simple as I possibly can in a blog, and then sometimes I expound on it in this forum. So the word is norovirus, which I think is ridiculous. And what I mean by that is that when a virus, whatever it is that's out there, or isn't out there, by giving it a name, I think what it does is it tightens it down into the minds of the population. And when we tighten down these kinds of things and thinking, it's an awfully good opportunity to frighten the heck out of people. So I would call this, I don't know, stomach flu, gastrointestinal bug, gastric flu. And so there are many ways that you could describe this. And they're saying, here they go again, it's very contagious. How contagious? Very contagious. No, it's really fascinating that they know these kinds of things because they can't seem to get their hand on a handle on what contagious really means. But it's very contagious. And so you hear me mocking this because it is to be mocked. Fear is the name of the game, says Christy Corder, because you're absolutely right, Dr. Corder, you hit it on the nose because when you frighten people, you own them. You own them. You own their behavior. They're willing to stand 6 feet apart and wear a diaper across their face. They're willing to not go to church, take their kids out of school. They're willing to not work or barely work at all. They're willing to get, what shall I say? How do I say it? Experimental medications injected. People will go so far for fear. So the first thing we do is eliminate that. Okay, let's just start with that. So I got a stomach bug, I guess, stomach condition that was an acute a few years ago. I wrote about it on my blog. You'll find it there. And it was a very snowy winter, and my husband and I were inside for days, maybe even a couple weeks. I mean, we have everything we need here. We work from home. We have each other. We've got great food. I love to cook. We had no need to leave. Yet, I got very sick. Short-lived, but it's not very sick. I mean, I wasn't dying. Felt like I was dying sometimes, but I wasn't dying. So, where did I get it from? It was in the ethers. It kind of snuck in through the cracks of the windows and came in. My husband didn't get anything, just I did. Our food, there was nothing wrong with our food. And this happens time and again. If you really analyze it, my friends, you'll often find that these very contagious conditions are really not that at all. I think much of this could be related to barometric weather shift, change in the atmosphere, a temperature shift, a exposure to cold. Because it doesn't happen in the summer. I mean, occasionally people get sick in the summer. But really, it's this time of year, right? So let's just look at it from there because, it's not only the norovirus. It used to be called just a sore throat. Now it's called strep B. Used to be called a bad cold. Now it's called COVID. And all of its variations on a theme. So I know I'm preaching to the choir in many instances, but some of you may be new. And you may not realize that this is whatever. I used to work in TV. I used to sell airtime for NBC, the derivative in Buffalo, New York. And I have to tell you, that was when there were only 3 stations and a couple of cable stations. And what I saw there turned me off to media forever, and that was back in the early 80s. So just be wary. Now, regardless of whether or not someone caught it or experienced it from a shift in weather or barometric shift, and that's why people around you are getting this kind of illness, or there's a change in whatever it might be in the atmosphere, whatever it is, we've got it. We've got you covered. And so, because we're going to be using symptoms, you're not going to be able to find the extremely contagious virus in the repertoire. It's not going to be found there. But what you will find are symptoms, and that's what we go by. Because symptoms never lie. The only time symptoms lie to us is when we're taking a drug, and then we might call those side effects. Or even certain supplements can cause symptoms. And so that also is a side effect of sorts. So we're going to use symptoms. And particularly when someone is afraid, the first medicine we're going to talk about for anxiety, panic, worry, and simultaneously a quick onset. 1 minute, the person's fine, and the next minute, bam! Oh my gosh, I feel so sick. All of a sudden, my first inclination always is to use a medicine called Aconitum nipalis. Aconite for short. And I love it in a 200, but if someone doesn't have a 230, would probably act just as well, at least in this situation. Just a couple doses, maybe a couple hours apart. And then, if that doesn't do enough, we move to, thank you, Alice. Thank you for telling it. It's wonderful that you folks are writing this down for me. Thank you very much. Then the next medicine I want you to think about is a medicine that I learned because I had dysentery in Calcutta. Every time I went to Calcutta, I got so sick. It's all new stuff to me. So I used Veratrum album. It was recommended to me by my friend, Dr. Vivekta Sharma. And Veratrum album 200 with Cuprum Metallicum 6 mixed together. Now, I want to tell you about this medicine because it is, when it's mixed like this, Veratrum album 200C mixed with Cuprum 6. If you don't have that, I'm going to tell you more about what you can do without having the mixed medicine. It is a Banerjee protocol. It is specific for cramps, colicky cramps, and a simultaneous vomiting and diarrhea. Projectile vomiting. We're talking now about something that's acute, that's suddenly come on. You don't have this all the time. This is just for an acute condition, short-lived. It's the main remedy for cholera. Tremendous stability, and there's a lot of cramping. But the most important aspect of it is that it's a simultaneous vomiting and diarrhea, and it's voluminous. Now, let's say you don't have Veratrum album 200 mixed with Cuprum 6. Well, if you're a student of mine, you should, okay? So you can get these, if you're a student or a client of mine, you can get them from OHM Pharma in Texas. If you can't, if you're not a student or a client of mine, then you would purchase this combination. I don't know if they have a combination at Helios in England. Or you just simply buy Veratrum album 200 and take it simultaneously with Cuprum 6 at the same time in the mouth. Now let's say you can't have that. You can't get that. You don't have it. You get sick tomorrow. You're not ready. Then we're going to use just plain old Veratrum album. Because Veratrum album, if you look it up in your Materia Medica, you will find that it is very strong picture of that combination I just described to you. The combination of Veratrum album and Cuprum. It is when there is diarrhea and vomiting. Veratrum album is particularly valuable for that set of symptoms. I'm looking at my notes here to see if I want to make sure I don't miss anything because I've jotted down some notes. There's a great deal of debility, fatigue. The person feels very sickly. And Cuprum Metallicum is a great medicine for spasms and abdominal cramps, colicky spasms, colicky cramps. And I have to say that it's almost like convulsions of the stomach. Cuprum Metallicum is great for that, and if it weighs more that way than it does with the Veratrum album picture, then you might want to just go with Cuprum Metallicum if you happen to have it. I'm getting some comments here. Let's see what folks are saying. People are talking about what they've been using. It's good. Thank you for sharing. Love it. Buenos noches from Mexico City. Blessings from Yorktown. All righty. Let's see let me get past the greetings, and we will get to, let's just see. Alice says, I've had this several times when I did not know what I know now. Not scared anymore. Alice, you hit it right on the nose. You're absolutely right. You see, the fear comes from, what do? Do I go to a hospital? And people don't have confidence in hospitals anymore. At least not for this. Here in Australia, says Tara, it is the Mycoplasma pneumonia. The nosode is what is being used, as other remedies don't seem to be squashing it. The nosode of pneumonia. That's interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Indeed, 2 coworkers out with it, so they say, one after another, Christmas Day, trip to Disney. Yes, when they have fear, they will follow and be controlled, says Deb. You bet. My son is just getting over it. I'm starting to feel queasy, and I'm doing all the things not to get it. Stomach virus, yes. So you folks are responding to each other, so I won't read that. And the new bird flu is in the news. Yeah, I know. Well, when there's a bird flu, then they have the right to go in and destroy all of the poultry farms. I mean, just wipe them out. Wipe out hundreds, thousands of chickens at a time. Let's see what else we've got here. Aconitum was the best remedy for okay. Now, I'm pretty sure, okay, we're talking about a spleen. That's a little different. If you're looking for help with a spleen concern, you really must study some homeopathy. You really must learn how to use a repertory, and that would be in my courses, Joette's Learning Center. Joette's Learning Center. Joette's Learning Center.com. Go there and scroll down and find the medicine or the names of the courses that I offer, and check out how you can learn more about this. Okay. Now, Veratrum album and cuprum, both of them not combined but separately, can also be purchased on Amazon. Okay, Nicole says, Arsenicum album helped me last year. Okay, let's talk about these other medicines, okay, shall we? Let's see what else we've got here. I want you also to think about Baptisia. Now, I don't use Baptisia very often, but the reason I'm bringing it up is because a homeopath from Great Britain commented on my blog and said he likes to use Baptisia. He finds that that's great for intestinal flu. And it is. There's no doubt it could be a very good medicine for that. And it is something that I would consider if the Veratrum album and cuprum didn't act. So let's talk about another one. How about one where there's a lot of nausea? There's no diarrhea, it's just nausea. Or maybe there's nausea only, and then an occasional vomiting. Maybe the second day there's a little vomiting. Then I'm going to be thinking about the remedy Ipecac. IPECAC. Ipecacuana is the full name, but we're only going to use the abbreviated name, Ipecac. And I like that in a low potency. I like it in a 6. I like it in a 30. And that's for nausea. It can also have vomiting, but the excessive salivation is often a key. So for those of you who know what I'm talking about, when someone has nausea and there's a lot of saliva, that's generally Ipecac. So that's a possibility. Now, I would not use Ipecac if there was voluminous diarrhea, because you want to have both covered. But if it's just nausea and some vomiting, then I'm going to think about Ipecac or Ipecacuana. Now, there's also one that's just diarrhea. And I love this medicine, especially great for children, babies, too. It's Podophyllum. Yes, thank you, Veronica. Yeah, you're writing it down just as I'm saying it. Podophyllum, I like that for diarrhea, especially if the diarrhea is painful. And also, it's voluminous. And it's often worse in the morning. Now, that's not vomiting in diarrhea. Generally, can be, but more with the weight of the condition is on the fact that there's voluminous diarrhea. Now, what if the person has a lot of these symptoms, but they're not prominent. They're uncomfortable, but they're not prominent. But the most prominent condition is the aches and pains. The muscles, every ow, everything hurts. Just touching it, just moving hurts, etc. And the person might have a fever. And that seems to be the most noteworthy set of symptoms. Then we're going to think about a medicine called Eupatorium. EUPATORIUM. So let's see what else everyone else is saying. I use these in 30s. The ones that I told you to consider in a higher potency, I've already said. 30s, 6s are good, but 30s are good. And we don't just take one dose and call it a day. We take a dose, and 15 minutes later, we might take the next dose. And 15 minutes later, we take the next dose for the first 4 doses in the first hour. And if the person starts to feel improvement, then we're going to taper off. If the person feels considerably improved and they fall asleep after, say, the second dose, you're not going to wake that person up to administer the 3rd dose. You're not going to need that any longer. Now what you're going to be needing, what I mean by need is you don't need to determine whether or not it's the right medicine. You know it's the right medicine. If someone falls asleep in the middle of vomiting and diarrhea and nausea and all of that, guess what, friends? That's improvement. It's enough improvement to determine that indeed this is the correct medicine. That's how we can tell. You can't sleep during vomiting and diarrhea. Nobody could do that. Well, is it possible? I suppose it's possible. But in a circumstance such as this, it's unlikely that someone would be able to sleep through that discomfort. So if the person falls asleep, you've likely hit on the right medicine. And then when they wake up, they're feeling a little bit better, but 2 hours later comes back again. This is not what I want you to say. Do not say, oh no, it's back again. Instead, we're going to turn it on its head and we're going to say, great, I know exactly what to do because the last medicine I used caused that person to fall asleep. We will repeat it again. Why? Because it acted. Okay? That's where what we're looking for. Is that differentiation, that determination, I should say, and determining how the person is acting. If the person is vomiting relentlessly and the diarrhea is relentless and they're freaking out, mommy, help me, this is horrible, and you give them the medicine and it slows down a little bit, they're still having diarrhea. They still may have some nausea, but it's calmed down. They're no longer begging for help. It's calming down. You can see their shoulders dropping, and life seems to be a little more comfortable for them. Then you know it's likely the medicine is acting. Okay? All righty. Alice says, I could only find Veratrum album 30. 200 potencies are increasingly difficult to find. I would definitely look at go to Helios in England. And I would also, my friends, I would look on Amazon. I know people don't like Amazon. I buy remedies from Amazon. My sons buy, not consistently, but I've never had a problem. I had one problem once when the label was the wrong label was slapped on it, but it was only once. And it was years ago. So I don't know. I don't have problems with it. And let's see. Nicole says, I found a study showing that Thuya was shown to help with influenza A and RSV. That's interesting. That could be very useful, yes. As an aside, 2 people in our house used oscillococcinum at the onset of flu symptoms and were symptom-free after 2 doses. So happy. Yeah, I have to say, Bernie, I just talked to someone this morning, a client who said the same thing. She just uses, as long as she uses borons, oscillococcinum, right then and there, or the moment they feel it, they often are, this person is relieved. Will this protocol help with more chronic diarrhea if the other symptoms fit? It's possible, yes. Yes. Are there protocols in Mighty members? Are there protocols? Yes, I talk about protocols every once in a while, but I would not call it a protocol-rich setting. I love Ipecac for nausea and vomiting, says Dr. Corder, especially when I'm on a cruise and have motion sickness. It works beautifully. You bet. Oh, Lisa says Ipecac for choking cough can be an indicator. Yes, choking or gagging cough, Ipecac is definitely a good choice. Okay. I gave Ipecac 6 to a friend with hyperemesis from cannabis. It worked fast. Yes. Cut out the cannabis, my friends. Cut it out. Sorry. I'm not hip. I'm sorry, I just don't buy it. I don't think it's useful. Eupatorium, very good. Amazon, good for me too, says Anne. Great question. Okay, what else do we have? Amazon has been better than they used to be with labeling. I think that's true, Susie. I agree with you. Yep, very good. Okay, it's now 8:24 Eastern Time. I am going to, you ready to click over, Perry? Okay, we're going to go over to Joette's Mighty members. Meanwhile, my friends, do give this a thumbs up, subscribe to YouTube, help us out so that we can get this information out to more people. And the more people who are using homeopathy, my friends, the easier it's going to be for you. There'll be more pharmacies, more availability. People will understand what you're talking about. That's what we're looking for. God bless you all. Happy New Year, my friends. Great to see you all here. Thanks for joining.